The Cartoonerific podcast is sponsored by the Wonderful World of Animation Gallery, home of rare and wonderful fine animation art. Visit their website at wwagallery.com. And for our Cartoonerific listeners, you will receive a special 10% discount off any purchase if you purchase by March 25th, 2024. Just go to wwagallery.com and enter code CARTOON10 for your 10% discount. Once again, this discount is only valid until midnight, March 25th, 2024. Once again, visit wwagallery.com.
The following is a Cartoonerific Studios presentation.
It's Cartoonerific. Cartoonerific. It's Cartoonerific. With your host Brian Mitchell.
Welcome to the Cartoonerific podcast, classic animated cartoons. I am Brian Mitchell, and I am your host. You know, this show covers a lot of different things. I mean, it's all wrapped up in classic animated cartoons. And, you know, to me, classic animated cartoons means, you know, it's hand-drawn animation. We have done the Rankin Bass show where we talk about stop motion. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Classic animation is broad, so it's things that have endured for a while. So I would put Rankin Bass in that category definitely, and George Pal, and with hand-drawn animation. It used to be like classic animation to me used to be Disney cartoons and classic Warner Brothers, Tom and Jerry, MGM cartoons, stuff like that. Walter Lantz, to me that's classic. Fleischer, all that stuff. It's all classic cartoons. But with the advent of TV, and you've had all these television shows, there were shows that maybe not fully animated, but they've been good shows, and they've lasted for a while. So Rocky and Bullwinkle, Scooby-Doo, The Flintstones. I mean, there's shows now that, like The Simpsons, that has been around since 1990. It's been on the air. I mean, I don't have the official date, but it's been around for at least 30 years. And that's pretty amazing. And so does that deserve the title of classic? I would think so. You know, we've had on people on this show that have been, animators, and we've had writers, and we've had somebody running an animation art gallery as Debbie Weiss a few weeks ago. We had her on. And so we kind of cover a lot of different things, but one of the things that we need to cover are the fans. And because those are the people that really kind of give this industry some life. If there were no fans, there'd be no industry in animation. There'd be no animated films because nobody would be watching them. But then you have certain fans that are elevated. They're shouting at the rooftops, hey, look at this or look at that. And, this is great. This may not be so great, but there's still value to it. And so you need those people. And a lot of people did start like that. Some of the names that you hear in animation now, the people that have written books, the Jerry Becks and the John Canemaker and the Jim Korkis, and, there's others. There's many others. But they started off as fans, and then were kind of shouting it at the rooftops, like, hey, look at this. And then they kind of made it their profession. And there are young people coming up now that, and, I say young, they're young, everybody's younger than me, apparently, but, you got people coming up now, and they are also doing the same thing, but but animation is more mainstream now. But what's happening is we're getting some people that are actually going back into the past, and they're dredging up all this stuff from the 60s and the 50s and the 70s, these television shows in the 80s, and talking about them, either on a podcast or they have a YouTube channel. And like I said, you need those people. And those are probably going to be the people that are going to be the future historians, the animation historians of this happy medium. There is this unique YouTube channel called the Saturday AM Network, and it is basically it has a show on there called Cartoon Commotion, and they review animation. They kind of and they look at stuff from the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, and they review certain cartoons. Some may be great, some not so great, some may have good things and bad things, and they review it in a funny way. And they're very positive. Nothing longer than 10 minutes, I think, 10-minute bits and pieces. But you can easily listen to one, and then when that finishes, it goes to another and another. And I found it very entertaining. Anyway, it was two guys that host it. We're going to have on today the creator of the Cartoon Commotion show. His name is Cade H. Hawkins. He's a very enthusiastic guy. He calls himself a cartoon analyst, and we're going to have him on right after this. Don't go away.
Cartoonerific is the place to be to celebrate hand-drawn animated cartoons. The Cartoonerific podcast features interviews with the magic makers behind your favorite animated cartoons, with episodes uploaded every Friday. Or visit the Cartoonerific blog featuring articles about classic cartoon animation. At the Cartoonerific Gallery, view original animation art and memorabilia from your favorite animated films and TV shows. The company store features exclusive swag from the Cartoonerific universe. And coming soon, brand new world premiere cartoons on the Cartoonerific channel. It's all here. Join the fun at www.cartoonerific.com. That's cartoon, ERIFIC.com. It's Cartoonerific, saving the universe one funny cartoon at a time. And now it's time for our special Cartoonerific guest.
Well, we have a special guest on today on the old Cartoonerific classic animated cartoon podcast, starring yours truly, Brian Mitchell. There is a unique show on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Saturday AM Network, and the show is Cartoon Commotion. And our guest has created this show, and it's really a review of, they'll do a review of a cartoon that appeared, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago on TV. And it's quite fast-moving and fun. They're not very long. They're maybe about 8 or 10 minutes apiece, but they are fun. And so I thought it'd be kind of neat to have one of the hosts of that show on the Cartoonerific podcast. So everybody, please welcome Mr. Cade H. Hawkins. Hey, Cade, how's it going today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. So let's start at the beginning. How'd you get into cartoons?
Ooh, the origin story. Okay.
Yes, the grand origin story of your...
You got to go back to my...
You got to go all the way back to the Stone Age, yes.
Oh, the Stone Age. We're doing Flintstones. All right.
No. Your Stone Age.
I was all set up for Spider-Man, and then we went to Stone Age. Okay. Yeah. All right. So
So how'd you, I mean, I would say most people grow up with cartoons.
The good ones.
Yeah. So when did you, I'm sure you're watching cartoons. What were your favorite cartoons as a kid?
Okay. So I was born in 97 and raised in the early 2000s. My cartoons were Nicktoons, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got older, I actually was drawn more to classics, like anything from the 60s through the 90s. Those were the best. So I wish
what
I
show,
had a little bit.
How'd you discover those shows? Because a lot of them are not. A lot of them you really have to kind of seek out, right? With the exception of like the Flintstones, or trying to think of some of the shows that were pretty prominent. Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah, a lot of it was like Boomerang, or there was a channel's Nicktoons Network covered a lot of classics for a little while, and it would jump between 2000s and all kinds of things.
Right.
Then I was exposed to Saturday morning content through Kids WB.
Right.
When the 4Kids TV became Kids WB, and then it jumped back to Kids WB, and it jumped to something that was kind of like Fox. It was like JetX.
Mm-hmm.
It was all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I didn't have like a genuine Saturday morning cartoons experience growing up. It was like, for me,
it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. So can I explain to you how that went?
Yes, go ahead.
Because some people might actually remember this. You would turn on the TV at 7 o'clock, and it would be 7 a.m. in the morning, and you would get up early because it was all this content, and all the major networks, which was ABC, NBC, and CBS, all had their shows. Half of them were made by Hanna-Barbera, pretty much. They owned it. And then you had Filmation doing a bunch, and you had Patty Freeling picking up the rest of it. And occasionally you might have like a live-action kids show in there. But as I recall, Saturday morning was like the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner hour, or you would have Woody Woodpecker on, and then they would have, maybe not Magilla Gorilla, but they would have the Herculoids, or, Scooby-Doo was a Saturday morning show, I think, on ABC. I think ABC pretty much ran that show. I hope I got that right. I think it was ABC. It might have been CBS, actually, but I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, these shows would come on, and basically the commercials would be toy commercials. And so it'd be all these toys. And if there was anything regarding candy or especially cereals, normally they were cartoon characters. So it was always Captain Crunch or, Rocky and Bullwinkle, or Cheerios, I think, early on. And then you had Post cereals. So they were like, they were Warner Brothers characters like Bugs Bunny, and so they were kind of integrated in the cartoons, and you could see a lot of that online. You can go on YouTube and find all this stuff. But that was Saturday morning, and it would go until maybe 12, 1 o'clock, and then that would be it. And that was kind of like the hours for kids on Saturday morning who would be glued to their TV watching one cartoon after another cartoon, all first run, with the exception of the theatricals that they had on from. And I don't remember Tom and Jerry ever being on Saturday, but I remember being on CBS on Sunday, like at 7 a.m., and they would run the old Tom and Jerry. So, but there you go. And then what killed that was you had, I think when you had like the Fox network came about, and they started like putting all these first run shows on the afternoon. And then He-Man became one of those, and which was on some other network or whatever. I think that started to kill Saturday morning. Plus, the quality of it wasn't that great in the later years. But I think that's what really kind of took it apart, But there you go. I'm sorry, I had to kind of interject that, but that was Saturday morning TV, So.
Oh yeah, I wish I actually lived in that like space, but. For me, Saturday morning cartoons was Kids WB. I would get up with a VHS tape because, they were still a thing. Right. And I would insert that into my VCR, and I would record Spectacular Spider-Man every morning, every Saturday morning. It came on.
Right.
I still think I have the tape somewhere.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure it's probably, petrified by now,
Well, I'm kind of countercultural that way, where I will collect VHS tapes of cartoons that I love. I have a lot of Scooby-Doo VHS tapes. So
yeah, and hey, if you don't have it on tape, you could just turn on the Scooby-Doo network, otherwise known as the Cartoon Network, and view it that way. I couldn't. Well, I couldn't get over that. I turned on. I think it was Cartoon Network, and it was just like wall-to-wall Scooby-Doo. It was like, wait a minute, what about all the other stuff they got? They have.
I think Scooby stands the test of time, where it's like it doesn't necessarily age. It will continually be evergreen. So I think Cartoon Network, they knew what they had with that, and they just ran with it.
Right.
Of course, there were so many other Cartoon Network properties that kind of got left behind a little bit. For example, Dexter's Lab doesn't actually have a complete series release, which is just a shame.
It's crazy,
It's
right?
just horrible. I try to own every cartoon I watch. So everything that I get or that I show on the channel, I try to have a physical copy of to some degree, where we don't have a lot of streaming involved.
Right.
Because, streaming is here and gone, but you can own and collect the disc. So that's what I do.
Yeah, with streaming, I think you can, depending on what it is. I know it seems like some of these streamers are playing games because they say, oh, you can record it and you can download it. And then I've downloaded stuff and basically it disappears. And I don't know why that is. But, I think that's a way of just keeping control of the content,
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with making room on their servers. It's like, well, we want to make this new show. We need space to put it in there. Let's take out this old thing nobody's watching, even though like a lot of people are fans of that property.
They're fans of it and still watching it. It's just not they're trying to put the new thing on that people are going to like, oh, I have to watch this.
And we do actually have a video all about that. I believe it's called Let's Get Physical.
Okay.
It's a video all about physical media and how streaming services are kind of neglecting it, like companies are neglecting physical media, and streaming services are tampering with it,
right?
And to a degree,
yeah,
we have a lot of that.
It's interesting. It's interesting how that's working because it's I don't know. Disney Plus came out with, and they pretty much promised, oh yeah, we're going to have everything in our vaults is going to be on there. And I think, how long has Disney Plus been around? 2 years now, maybe 2.5.
Yeah, it's about that.
Yeah, and it's still missing a lot of content. There's still shows, things that I want to see that are not on there, and it's too bad because that's why I subscribe to it. But there's other stuff on there that's worthwhile, but that's the problem with streaming. It's like they go through it. We don't. Yeah, nobody's going to watch this.
It's nice to have access to classic media. And to have a variety of access to it.
Right. There's a cartoon. I've alluded to this before. It's Barbecue for Two. It's a Popeye cartoon made in the 60s. It was made by former Disney guy Jack Kinney, and it's actually I think it's a very funny Popeye cartoon. It's not your standard Popeye cartoon. It's a little bit different, and it's fun. And the thing is, the only place I can see that is basically on YouTube. It would be great if Paramount, which I believe owns it, would put these things on. But I don't know if they are. I don't think they are. Maybe I'm wrong.
I believe that there was a complete collection on disc at one time of Popeye, but that's probably pretty expensive right now.
Yeah, it's probably $1 gazillion now. You're probably bidding it up on eBay right now, I'm sure. But okay. I've watched a few. I'm just going to turn it back to your Cartoon Commotion show, which I think is a lot of fun because you have clips. You have clips from these cartoons on there, and it's reviewed in a lighthearted way, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, do you script it or do you just go and just wing it? Are you guys just because you guys are funny? Now you hosted. Well, who's your co-host on here? It's Ronald.
My
right?
co-host is Ronald Christian. We kind of joke that his last name is Hero Geek because that's his brand. Ronald, it's Hero Geek. He makes his own comic books. He's trying to put out a comic right now called Paragon Prime, which brings back like the iconic superhero, and I'm rooting for him. I think it's going to be great.
Well, that's good.
But that's his whole like costume on that. You'll see his avatars wearing like the Hero Geek costume and all that. Yeah, he's my co-host. I found him on Twitter. We just like called each other up and we were talking for pretty much a week straight, like literally nonstop. And I was like, hey, you just want to do this with me forever? And he was like, Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Sounds good.
So the way we do script, what we do is we call up each other on the phone and we'll go through the episodes in our, because he's in Florida and I'm in Michigan.
Right.
So we'll call up each other and we'll have the videos, like we'll just start watching them together and then we'll take notes. He doesn't like to note while he's watching. I sometimes do that to keep track of my thoughts. And then we'll go back into the script and we'll talk to each other over the phone as we're typing on both ends on Google Docs. So it's sort of like real-time scripting.
Right.
Where it's a genuine conversation, but we script it beforehand to make sure it sounds quality when it's finished.
All right. I mean, it's whatever works. Whatever works for, what you're doing. So if that's comfortable, hey, I mean, you're doing something right with it. So do you suggest the cartoon you're going to watch? Or do you flip it? Is it like you do it and then he goes, "Hey, I want to watch this piece of crap," and then you, sorry, and then basically, is that what you're doing, or is it just like you suggest all the cartoons that you're going to run?
Well, so we both bring up the cartoons that we want to watch and review. Most of the time, I'll make a list. And then we'll come back and we'll just kind of like compile it by release date. Like next year in July, we want to do like a month of GI July and do like GI Joe.
Right.
It's all going to be GI Joe.
Okay.
So sometimes we'll do it by month. Sometimes we'll do it by theme. In June, we like to cover iconic heroes and try to cover like from Batman to Spider-Man and just kind of jump through those.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's thematic. Other times it's what works best. Like he wants to cover Mighty Max. So directly after we finish Ghostbusters in September, we're going to jump into Mighty Max. Mm-hmm. And I would pick that one just basically because he wanted to cover it. I mean, I also want to cover this, but it's more like we'll discuss what we're going to review eventually, and then just kind of fit it in where it works best.
And then you both watch it, but you're making notes, and then he's basically just watching it, and then he kind of makes his notes after he watches it.
Yeah, he'll do a full on, I guess, diagnosis of what an analysis of what he just watched. That's why I like to call it I like to give our position the title of cartoon analyst, because we're not just giving you our opinions, we're breaking down the qualities of what worked or what didn't work. We're giving you a analysis of this cartoon,
right? And your honest opinion of not just analyzing, but it's also like this was great, this was garbage, this was this could have been great if they just did this, yeah.
So the way I do it is it's like expectations versus reality. What did it live up to or didn't it live up to?
Right.
And that's where I come from. It's like if this cartoon is giving me a plot or a storyline that just I think doesn't work for it, that it could have been tweaked slightly. It's a little bit less on my scale. So we do it 1 through 5 cereal bowls. And
that's perfect.
So yeah. So it's like out of 5 cereal bowls, how did this rate? Sometimes I'd say okay, so I'd say 0 is obviously not watchable.
Right.
1 is I guess it's good enough to check out if you're interested. 2, it's quality. It's not bad. It could be better. 3, it's like happy medium, and then so on. 5 obviously is excellent.
5 is basically 5 cereal bowls and some ice cream thrown in there for good measure.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. That's what I'd be doing.
Did you ever eat cereal with ice cream?
No, never. But
I kind of want to try it now.
Well, it's kind of like I grew up on the Captain Crunch, and the Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries. which was absolutely super sweet as a cereal. And that was touted when you were watching these shows. You know, the Captain Crunch commercials were all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, most of the time you would be crunching on cereal watching this stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely something I've attempted to recreate. I have a 5-disc DVD player, and what I've done is occasionally on a Saturday morning I would get up super early and I would turn on the 5-disc player and I would cycle through Thundercats, Flintstones, Voltron, let's see, Iron Man from the 90s,
right?
And then also He-Man,
right?
I believe that's all of them. I could be missing one,
but I would
go through
good.
all 5.
Right.
And then I would grab a cereal. My preference is Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, there you go.
And
good
and
healthy
take
stuff.
Notes.
Yeah.
Huh?
Good healthy stuff. That Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I think so like I've heard that cinnamon is a creativity activator, so I try to put that into everything and I love it either way. So
well, there you go. There you go. No,
so I would do that and then I would take notes on the cartoons as I'm watching them. So that way, like, if we ever review those shows, I can bring all that information over. Right.
Have you ever tried to, there's discs out there that they have the commercials from the 60s and 70s. And
is that the Hanna-Barbera sets of Saturday morning?
No. I'm sure there's companies out there putting all the old commercials out, just one right after the other. Because I see all this stuff on YouTube, and I'm sure kids commercials from the 1960s, kids commercials from the because I think that would give you the full flavor. Since we're talking about cereal, about the how these shows used to be run, and then you'd have those commercials in between, give you a really good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a classic experience.
It really is.
And
I wish somebody.
That's what it's all about.
There is I'm gonna plug this. There's Saturday morning cartoons. I think Warner Home Video put it out, where it was basically all these 60s and 70s, and I think even 80s shows that they compiled. They're all whatever Warner had in its library, and they would actually have the complete, like, the Quick Draw McGraw show, and
those are on
Inch
my
High
list.
Private Eye, and the Funky Phantom, and the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show, and they put out maybe about 4 different discs like that of Saturday morning, but not with the commercials, and the commercials are sometimes better than the shows because they're fully animated in most cases, But interesting, right? So when you basically, the shows are what, 10 minutes on YouTube?
We try to keep it about 9 minutes or less, because my goal is to make a library of bingeable content to where you could finish one and you'd like to watch another, and they're not too long, so you can go back in and it's just readily available. All of these nostalgic flashbacks, like, oh, there's a look at Superman from Ruby Spears. Look at that. Like, that's not too long. I guess I have enough time. I could watch that. You can't really say that if the video is over 10 minutes, because most of the time you take a look at that and you're like, I could be spending my time doing something else. But in this case, they're quickly digestible and you can just keep coming back. Right.
It's enough. It's like watching a Saturday morning cartoon. Well, watching an old theatrical cartoon. It's about 7 minutes long. And if it's a good review, if it's a bad review, or if it's, the thing's not going well as far as the segment goes, there's always another one to follow it up, right? So,
well, in the case of a bad review, though, like, if you think that like, you for whatever reason disagree with those, leave a comment, because that's fun. Like, discussing animation. We do not like shun you for wanting to discuss animation. That's what the comment section is for.
Right.
Jump on in and join the conversation, because we want it.
Are you getting a lot of feedback on this stuff? Like, when you post it?
It has been mostly positive, and
Good.
that is awesome.
Well, that's important, because you want people to comment. You want people to. I hate it. I
Yeah.
love it. I like this, but I don't like that. You should change the host, which is what I get. No, I don't
You
get
get.
it.
I should change.
No, I don't get any of that.
Change the host.
No, I don't get it.
Well, I got to tell you, Brian, I listen to your show every week.
Oh my God.
And I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing.
What's the best thing you like about this podcast? Aside from the fact that it's over when it ends. You just listen to it for the music, I know. Yeah.
No. I like the insight. I like the you are an animator. You were an animator. So it's like you're talking with animators and artists and just people in the field that you get firsthand experiences. And then you add the nostalgia factor, the idea of like going through history. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. I try to keep a little bit of that in there. I have a sister who lives in New Hampshire. Her name is Linda, and she listened to it and she said, "Boy, you really get a lot of this industry jargon." I'm like, "I do," because I didn't think I did, but I guess sometimes it comes off that way.
Well, not everybody knows just as a casual listener every industry term.
Yeah, it's like if you mention Arthur Q. Bryan and people are like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Who is that? And I bet you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Do you? It's all right. You can say no.
No.
Okay, it's Elmer Fudd, the original voice of Elmer Fudd. So even
Right.
I stump some of you young punks sometimes. I say that with much love. So yeah, don't.
I am consistently learning because I'm only going on 25, and
You got
everything.
a lot to learn.
Yeah, I've got years to catch up on.
Yeah, I just showed somebody yesterday an early Fleischer cartoon from 1932, and the reaction was, "Oh my God, were they on drugs?" It was just really bizarre, very surreal, bizarre stuff. And you can look it up on YouTube. It's Minnie the Moocher, and it's a Betty Boop cartoon from 1932.
Okay.
It's absolutely bizarre. It's I didn't think anything of it, but when sitting there and watching it with somebody and seeing it through their eyes, you realize, oh wow, this is pretty trippy. This is like this is psychedelic baloney. So there's a world of animation to discover. I guess that's my point.
I'm constantly learning. I have a whole bookshelf filled with animation books, and I'm diving in as much as possible to get the rich history of it.
Yeah.
Because it's not just so I know what I'm talking about, it's because I love it.
That's good that you love it. There is so much to discover. There was we were talking with Mark Arnold. He wrote a book called the Think Pink. It was about the Patty Freeland studio. And so you might have listened to the interview, but
I did listen to that one. And it actually got me to dive into the history of Pink Panther a little bit more.
Yeah, but they
great.
did these cartoons called The Ant and the Aardvark, which I really loved as a kid. And they're just really, there's some Warner Brothers humor in there, but they're really kind of weird, the styling, the whole thing. So you get to see one or two. They're actually pretty fun. But anyway, let's get back to your show. So you got, how many of these shows are online now?
I believe currently Cartoon Commotion has 14 episodes
right
available in its playlist. One of those is a Toon Talk special, so we're probably going to move that over to its own playlist pretty soon.
Now, what's a Toon Talk? It's just a...
Toon Talk is the discussion of the cartoon, so it's more in-depth analysis than it is a review.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds interesting. But
the first one was about Flintstones. It was the prehistory of the Flintstones.
Right. I saw that. I think I saw that one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was a little bit of the lawsuit that almost happened with Ralph Cramden.
Oh yeah, there were. I don't know. For some reason, Hanna-Barbera were really involved with a couple of lawsuits. Not just that, but even with the Jetsons, because I think. Yeah, there was they cast the voices, and then they basically they kind of reneged on the deal, and so the voice artists weren't told. They figured they were doing like a whole season of shows, and they just did one. It was Maury Amsterdam from the the Dick Van Dyke Show, and a woman who just passed away, who was Pat Carroll, who was the voice of Ursula in Disney's. I want to say Aladdin. It's a Little Mermaid, but
that would be interesting.
Yeah, but she was the voice of Jane,
George Jetson,
and Jane. So that. Yeah, and then they recorded them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we got a whole season to do," and then all of a sudden they were just dropped like a rock. They didn't appreciate that, and they actually got together and they sued Hanna-Barbera, and they didn't win. They didn't win the case. But the thing was that Pat Carroll in an interview was saying that if they just called us and said, we tried it, it's not working, and then, we have to move on, they would have accepted it and then just moved on with their careers. But it was in the manner that it was
that's a shame.
Yeah, which, probably, in the haste of producing a show, I could see that happening where they go, this isn't working, let's just move on.
From what I learned, it didn't do well with the test. Like as the season was put out, it was in like weekday syndication.
Yeah.
But then when it was moved over to Saturday mornings, it performed much better.
Well, actually, it was a primetime show, Jetsons.
That's what it was.
It was a primetime show.
It didn't do well in prime time, but then they moved it over to Saturday mornings. Yeah, and it did better. They did the same thing with Top Cat. Top Cat didn't perform well in prime time, but then it performed much better on the weekend. Yeah, when they stuck it in front of the preschoolers, they were like, "Oh, it's not it's not Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse." I don't know. This is new.
that was an actual cartoon. That was a 60s cartoon. People.
So obviously this show is bringing us quality. I do have the original series on Blu-ray, and I thought that the original season was really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely could have had it definitely could have had much better staying power. I mean, obviously it did later, but early introductions didn't pan out.
I think the problem with the primetime, Flintstones appealed more to an adult audience, because when Flintstones came on the air, it was Winston Cigarettes sponsored the show, and not only that, I think Busch Beer was also a sponsor. So it was considered an adult show, and then as the show kind of progressed, they realized, oh, we could sell toys from this. Let's dumb it down a little bit for kids. But even Joe Barbera said that it wasn't literally created for adults. They loved making things available for all ages. Right.
And right from the beginning, I think they had the plan to start making it like more all ages accessible. They had to market it to fit it into that bracket of people that were watching primetime with all of the sitcoms that were happening at the same time. So when they created the show, they marketed it for that audience. So like it wasn't really for adults specifically. Right. It was for all ages. They just said, hey, look, we're being sponsored by these adult companies. These, like it's all going in the adult corner, if you will.
Right.
So, but later on, I think it was season 3 when they introduced Pebbles, they made it more kid appropriate, more kid focused as well. Like some of the stories were written down a little bit so where the kids would be more of the audience.
Yeah, the stories got to be more fantasy filled. I mean, they had guest stars, like they had Anne Margaret and
Anne Marg Rock.
That's right. Well, that's what they called her. Yeah, but they had all these guest stars appearing on the show in animated form, and they'd be voiced by those people. And there was one, Hoagie Carmichael, I think. I want to say Hoagie. I hope I have that right. But he was a music guy, and they had him on the show, and they had this caricature of him and stuff. And, and I don't think kids at the time knew who this guy was, when it came out. And it wasn't like Jimmy Durante or something. I mean, even that today, nobody knows who Jimmy Durante is. If you think of Frosty the Snowman, it's the narrator is Jimmy Durante, and a guy with a big schnozzle, big nose, and so Hanna-Barbera was, I think they were trying to appeal more toward the adults, but then eventually, you got the Great Gazoo in there, and and I think that's when the show started really kind of aiming toward kids. Because before that, it was about bowling. It was about, it's the honeymooners for crying out loud for the first couple of years, But then it wasn't,
They had to get inspiration from that sort of show, because it's like all of these other sitcoms were pretty much they were pretty much functional families for the most part. This was a dysfunctional relationship, something that was a little bit harder to work with. Like, the wife didn't always necessarily agree with the husband, and the husband didn't always necessarily agree with the wife. There was a lot of conflict, and that made for great comedy.
Right. When, just going back to your YouTube channel, what do we call that? Because is it just the YouTube channel, or is there a special name for that? I don't even know.
It's called a YouTube channel. It's the Sad AM Network YouTube channel.
It's a video streaming channel, basically.
It is.
Do you play this up for humor? Because you script it, but it's funny. I've gone through it. I've been amused by it. Do you play it for that, or is that
we
just?
We try to create. Sorry, go ahead.
No, because when I watched it, and you got all the clips from the cartoons in there and stuff like that, it just seems like it's a free flowing. I know you said it's kind of scripted, but it's kind of a free flowing thing. It just seems like you're playing off of your co-host, and it seems like it's humorous for the most part. Don't you agree?
Yeah, so when I got started in YouTube, it was all kind of like comedic acting. Back in like 2010 through 2018, I had tried my hand at skit comedy channels. They didn't really pan out for the long haul. Right. This is it has a lot more staying power when you're working with nostalgia, a property that's already been created. Something that, people are constantly looking up, Scooby-Doo and Flintstones and stuff like that. People aren't really looking up a random comedy skit. So it has a lot more staying power.
Well, it's almost like it's kind of a guaranteed audience. You're doing something, you're doing a review, and then people are kind of like, they're tuning in, they want to be entertained. So it is a very entertaining 10 minutes, I have to say.
Our goal is to make our hosts, make Ron and myself very much comedic, very like our relationship is something that I want people to watch this and say, "Well, that was good. That was a good review, but I like these guys, so I want to see more of them." And that's something we work on for every episode. We want to give our characters more character.
Good, because I think you've achieved that. I think it's like I said, it's very entertaining. And it's kind of like when you watch one, when the next one comes on, it's just like you want to listen to the next one. Because it's very fast and free flowing, so it's, you want to listen to another one, or, you probably listen to, 3 or 4 in a row, easy, and so that's something I really like about it.
Thank you very much. That's another reason we want to do things like a series of videos where if we're covering Flintstones, we're going to do 4 Flintstones videos in a row. So it's very easy to jump from the first episode of the Flintstones to a spin-off that was made in 2016. You have a flow. And I think right in the middle, or it might have been, I think it was like right in the middle is when we did the prehistory of the Flintstones. Mm-hmm. So you have the first episode, the prehistory, and then you have the 2018 special. So it's like, what pattern do you follow? It's very simple.
Right.
Sliding down that pattern.
Do you find yourself actually going out? Okay, so I know you're going to watch something that's good, and then you're going to review it. But do you purposely when you think about that? Because this is the way I think. It's like you'd want to pepper some of the stuff, some of these things with really horrible cartoons, so you could really just go to town ripping the thing apart. And I don't know. That's just something that it could be very entertaining too to do that. Jerry Beck, you know who he is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Jerry Beck, he has some show that he brings to these conventions, these comic book conventions and stuff like that. Jerry Beck's worst cartoons ever.
Yeah.
And so
I've seen bits of it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's
there's
plenty of bad cartoons out there. There's plenty of bad movies. I mean, basically, that was the science. Was it the science theater? I'm trying to think.
Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater was
3000 might have been.
Yeah, I think it had a name before that, but yeah, I think that's it. But basically, they take these really horrible movies and they're just ripping them to shreds. Which they deserve to be ripped to shreds, really, because they're so bad. But but I'm
they
sure
say that.
Yeah,
they say that art is subjective, but
it is.
There's also a case of, does this have structure? Is there something for me to follow? If this is not compelling me as a viewer, or my co-host Ron, or anybody watching, to keep watching for a particular character or event to take place, then does it live up to the expectations I have for it?
Right.
Case in point would be Filmation's Ghostbusters. We have a video out on that currently where we basically say it sucks, but then we break down the
Are you
reasons
that delicate?
why.
Are you that delicate though? When you or do you really just rip it to shreds like this?
Okay, so in this video, have you seen this video yet?
I think I have. I think I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you may recall that the first thing out of our mouth was, "This cartoon sucks."
Oh.
We proceed to, we almost end the show in the introduction to the. We're like, why even do the review? And Ron's like, next week.
Right. Well, you could.
We don't need to cover this.
You could do that. You could do that.
Have.
Okay, review is over. The show sucks. It's really horrible.
We could have, but yeah. I say, as a cartoon analyst, I believe it's our job to lay out the reason for it not being as good as we expected it to be. So that way you have a point of view.
So you're basically tearing it apart, but you're trying to analyze what made it so bad. Sometimes it's not that hard,
Well, when you have to go to an entirely different dimension to put your clothes on, I think that there's a problem with your writing. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Then they jump on a mattress to get into their special secret car lair.
And this is from the Filmation.
This is from Filmation, and we're going to have a video called "The Rival Ghostbusters," which analyzes and breaks down the reasons for this rivalry between Filmation's Ghostbusters and Deke's Ghostbusters. That's going to come out, I believe it's September 9th.
Okay.
As let me look at the calendar real quick. Okay. No, September 3rd.
Okay. Can I make a suggestion for one of your shows?
Go ahead.
The He-Man Christmas special. I'm just saying, I could review it right now by telling you it is the worst piece of crap ever made. Just the idea that they made this cartoon just goes to show you what a piece of garbage that was. And I'm sorry, I have to say, I got to get this off my chest.
Go ahead.
It is laughable. The show is laughable. It is so bad.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the cringeworthy stuff where, Skeletor in it basically I think he gets a gift, kind of like the Grinch. Now he's a skeleton, for crying out loud. He's an evil skeleton. He gets this gift and he goes, I don't know what this feeling is. And
that's a pretty good impression.
Might be. And then he's like, oh, I feel good, or something like that. And it's horrible. It's really.
Okay, so we were going to cover that. We were going to cover that sometime this Christmas, but we decided against it because just like the previous Christmas season, it had been covered by 2 other cartoon nostalgia shows.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, we don't want to copy them. We don't want to steal their thunder here. We're going to do our own thing. So
yeah, you're going to find your own piece of crap to.
Well, we're going to maybe do like our top 3 Christmas specials that are kind of not so well known. They're a little off everyone's radar. Because everybody, flocks to the things you always know, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and stuff like that. But
right.
For me, I have like my own traditions every year to watch cartoon Christmas specials that came straight from cartoon shows that, like the mainstream kind of neglects. So like that's what we're going to do.
Well, that's good. I think that'll be interesting.
Oh, so, it'll be interesting.
So you'll be
everything.
You'll be reviewing the Partridge Family in Outer Space Christmas show.
We might do a breakdown on how that could have been the future Jetsons. We might do a breakdown on that.
I'm sure.
So there's that.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think you're doing good. I think you're doing really good stuff. I've enjoyed it, and they're, like I said, they're very, very fast and entertaining, and there's some good humor there, and I think that if you need to check it out, Cartoon Commotion, right? So
that is correct. Cartoon Commotion.
All right, we're
making a commotion over the cartoons.
Anything you'd like to add?
You can find us on Twitter. It's all the same. It's SAT, capital SAT, AM. It's lowercase, I believe. Network, one word, on Twitter, Instagram. We are on Facebook, trying to get that to be a little bit more active. And then also, obviously, YouTube. That's where we put out all of our content. We have 3 main shows right now: Toon Talk, Cartoon Commotion, and Saturday Morning Comics.
Neat. Well, sounds good. I think you got a good start to this thing. It's very neat. I'm enjoying it. I know other people would. And so, if you want to see some review of a old Saturday morning cartoon, I guess that's where you have to go. So.
Oh, don't use the word old. Say classic. Come on.
Okay, old. Okay, crusty classic. We won't use old. Keep doing what you're doing, because I think the stuff is fun. And I think people will get something out of it. Want a interesting evening or morning or afternoon, or, if you're at work and you want to watch something that is kind of fun, Cartoon Commotion. Cartoon Commotion is a place to be. That's what I think.
Thank you so much.
There you go. Anyway, hey, I just want to thank you for being on here, and maybe we'll have you back. What do you think about that?
That sounds like a good time. I would love to come back on and maybe dive into a cartoon series with you. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right. Okay.
Do you have any questions or comments about the podcast? Please email Brian at cartoonerific.com. Your email may be featured in one of our future shows.
That's it. I'm done. I am out of here. Okay, maybe not. Maybe just for today. Anyway, thank you, Cade, for joining us for that wonderful discussion about cartoons. Next week, we'll be talking about cartoons. So just giving you a heads up. Anyway, if you really like what you're listening to, please subscribe. All you have to do is just go to your favorite service and click on that button, and then you'll be notified when the next Cartoonerific podcast featuring your host, Brian Mitchell, will be on. And that's going to be a very good thing. If you really like what you're listening to, please tell a friend. Just give them a call. Just say, hey, look, listen, Brian Mitchell is doing this podcast. It's not half bad, you know. You may want to listen to it. Just let them know. Okay? Make me happy. I hope so. Hey, if you have any comments about the show or any suggestions, hey, I'm open. So please email me, brian@cartoonerific.com. I could ask a question there or make a comment or a suggestion or anything. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen. It doesn't mean I'm going to do anything about it, but I'm willing to listen. Anyway, we have a bunch of interesting people lined up for the weeks ahead. We're lining them up one by one, and that should be a lot of fun. Anyway, I want you to have a great day. I want you to have an excellent week. And please come back next time for more fun on the Cartoonerific podcast. So this is Brian. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
This has been a Cartoonerific Studios presentation.
The Cartoonerific podcast is copyright 2024 by Cartoonerific Studios Incorporated. All rights reserved.